feels like that belongs there. Hello, gatekeepers. How y'all doing tonight? Good to see you. It's good to see each and every one of you. I've been paying attention. Um, HAK, you didn't change your email. What did Mama Gum say? Change your email. I know. I know. It's a struggle. The struggle is real. You're fighting the battle in the man. I know. Look at me. Look how long I've been doing this. Hello, D Rock. How you doing, sweetie? Welcome in, welcome in. Hey, Ted, you old rattlesnake. You are too. I'm telling you what. You and Steve got a couple of them in here, but that's good. It's all right. It's like, you know what I was thinking of? I don't mean that the same way other people do, but snakes have been coming up a lot in the past couple of weeks. Maybe I'll bring that up. But vipers. Does anybody in the chat know something to remember? I don't know where we're going with this, but why not? How vipers are born, how viper babies are born. Is there anything significant or different about that? And we'll wait because there's a delay, and then don't look it up. If you know it, put it up there. But if not, snakes have been really popping up a lot lately. And I don't mean just I don't mean human snakes, but I guess you could. That's why I'm laughing. Um, it's funny. All the things that are happening right now, it's hard to believe that holidays are involved here in the Americas, and globally in a lot of different holidays. And of course, people have their own that also fall in the same time. But however you celebrate, it's definitely a time. Here comes winter. It seems like just yesterday we were doing Halloween, and not long before that we were doing some other stuff. Summer. It was hot. And now everybody's getting snow and it's cold, and you know, um, everything else. But do you have it? They fall out of politicians' backsides. It's so close, Ted. Did you get that off the Wikipedias? Did they say it on the news? I'll tell you what, vipers, my friend. Vipers. Don't they? Don't they? They hatch right before birth. Don't they eat their way out, Vixen? That's what I heard. I might have heard a more hyperbole version, but I'm no snake scientist, trust me. That's not one of my fortes. I know some very little, like what you'd have to know to be tramping around in the woods, but that's about it. But anyway, I don't even know why I brought up snakes, but they're coming up a lot lately, and I don't know whether you guys are seeing that too. I mean, I think it all started when we did the Black Hope Cemetery, and there was a snake in that haunted house story where they had just like Poltergeist built the development over a cemetery that was had belonged to the black community there, and it was rightfully theirs, and they had a church, and they had built a church, a school, and a cemetery. And the school and the church had long since gone, but cemetery is still there, and they just moved the gravestones, as the famous movie says. That was not based on that, because there was other ones going on, and that's the mind-blowing about that case. I mean, along with everything else. But the fact that while that was going on in their development, the Black Hope Cemetery case, so multiple families, some say upwards of 14, but most said that most of it was concentrated there, kind of like the cul-de-sac, you know, but a lot of people came and went real fast too, so it's assumed. So you gotta kind of watery count there, but I mean, common sense, right? Cornbread. Who's got cornbread, Yoda girl? How are you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. So AJK mods throw his link up there. So this is the third or fourth channel, right? Don't give up. I mean, you just gotta, you know, you have to do it your way as closely as possible that you can do that and get away with it, because there is no rhyme or reason to it. There isn't. There isn't. There'll be people that are putting up the darndest things, let's watch grass grow, and it'll have 95 million views, you know, it's crazy. Or like I said, like these ASMR channels where it's like, let's listen to rain on the, on the windows, or whisper into the microphone and stuff, and it's got like 8 million views, and it was dropped like 8 minutes ago. Two-legged snakes, that's for sure. We got plenty of those. Hello, Julie Van D. Welcome in. Scott's Life, how you doing, hun? You doing good? Good to see you. Good to see you. So, yeah, vipers. That's kind of crazy. But the other thing I was talking about that came up out of nowhere, conversation, somebody mentioned Billy Jack. And I know Lindsay and I've talked a little bit about Billy Jack, and I know I think Aunt Edna was in on that. Is Aunt Edna in here tonight? Anybody seen her? Tell her I send my love. And Renice, hi honey. Welcome, welcome. Let's see who else we didn't say hi to before I get too far. I get to talk about snakes. We'll be here a minute. But that scene from Billy Jack where he has to go through the rattlesnakes. Anybody know what I'm talking about? It's intense. It's very intense. I saw that I was probably about 8 years old when I saw that in the theater. I could be lying. I might have been 9. So, hey, everybody's in your D-Rock. If I didn't say hi to you, love, hello, hello. I know I saw Travis in here. Welcome. Stay warm, love. Stay warm. Fight like a... Listen to me. Roadhouse rules. This is how I feel. Nice till nice is no more. It doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? Common sense, morals, hard drive. Head down and just let nothing get in your way. Sort it, figure it out, change your direction, change your spot, change your place, change you, change the people you're with, change the people, you should be with, whatever. There's 10,000 different things that people can do to shift their vibration and the stuff around them. And I'm not just saying this like I think it's easy, because I'm not. You don't know how many times when things got crazy. You know those old Lifetime movies you see where where, where the guy just puts stuff in a duffel bag and kind of gets on the bus, and the doors close on the bus, and the bus takes off, goes off towards some kind of wild mountainous thing. When you've done that once or twice, or things that are similar to that, you can sit here and say, sometimes, but you got to be hard, and you have to be able, to bend. Be an oak in your base and your root, but be a willow. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to be an evergreen. So there you go. Somebody write that down. Life lesson. That's all you need. How's everybody doing tonight? So yeah, vipers. But the thing with Billy Jack is he had to go through this as a rite, like a rite of passage, a ritual, proving ground, so to speak. And he goes and walks through this ditch filled with rattlesnakes, and they're biting him, and he's dancing, and it looks very much like when they would like run across the hot coals barefooted, but this is Billy Jack, and he's not really even in a hurry, if I recall correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you be stepping on the heads of snakes to get out of that thing. But anyway, and then you have to go through it, and then you go through the shakes, and you have the visions, and you go to the spirit world, and you prove yourself, and you come out, ready to clean up the town and kick ass, which is how the movie goes. So anyway, I don't recommend doing that. It's by no means a holiday ritual or anything like that, which is what we just started talking about. But it does seem weird. I've always found it as a kid growing up, and it didn't matter if we were poor, didn't matter what was going on. I've had Christmas and holidays in the weirdest places, and under some wonderful conditions too. I've had a lot to compare it to. And I can tell you that no matter what's going on around, that magic seems to come up. We all know the war stories of the the person, they stop and they sing to each other across the fence or whatever, and you can name Civil War or whatever. It's all true because it's happens. I think it's human nature in a way, you know. You've had the kindness of strangers and charities and, all that kind of stuff, but that's not even really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the magic that can happen around these holidays, and it can happen to a trucker at a truck stop, and some person does some little thing or buys a coffee and a donut or, tips a hat at the right moment. That stuff is magic. You've gotta collect all that up. You can't let the world my advice is you can't let the world jade you up so much because you're a warrior and you're plowing through and you are putting your head down, you are driving forward, and you're going after the thing, you know, that you can't stop and find that bit of magic. And if you can't find it, if you can't see it right, you be the magic. That's all in, light workers it's in the job description. You know what I'm saying? This makes sense. Now, I'm not saying you gotta run through rattlesnakes to do this now, that's just nuts. But, it's funny, and this all makes sense to me, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry, if it doesn't to you right now, but what I'm saying is the things that people go to achieve spiritual awareness, shaman, trials or the gauntlet or the vision quest or, the sun dance, insert your ritual here. The one where you have to prove yourself in some way or other. And in some cases, that might be not be going off into the jungle for 2 weeks. It might be graduating high school and getting a boot and and good old dad telling you go get a job or whatever it may be. That's the test of all tests, if you ask me. I'm in. Did it. But boy, I'll tell you what, you sure learn. You sure learn. Never never apologize for going through the stuff that you went through. Or even bad choices. Did you come through it? Are you here? Because you can tell people, look, I don't recommend you give this a try, but here's what happened to me. And you're just passing down wisdom, you know. It's like, yeah, I thought that one time. I tried that, you know. It's a little bit like that in the paranormal and the supernatural. A lot of people try a lot of different things. And I've talked to a few mediums lately and, insert your label here, psychic medium, sensitive, all of that on multiple different levels in many different gifted ways. And I've asked them, of course, we all talk about how we got started, and this is what I thought at first, and this is what I learned from that, and then went from here, but most of them have a similar path, and I wonder if you do too, where you knew you had abilities, you were interested in things, and it's such a vast spectrum of little subjects, under the great titles of supernatural, paranormal. And then you want to add in the unknown and the weird and the strange and, that kind of stuff too. Um, and aliens and everything else. It's a pretty broad bunch of different things that you can choose from, right? And then you hone in on that, the metaphysical and, am I into astrology? Am I meant to read the stars and the signs and the alignments? Am I meant to read cards? And maybe it's just regular cards. Maybe it's tarot. Maybe it's oracle cards. You know, um, am I meant to do readings with a pendulum, or am I more of a sit and think, or maybe I'm a psychic artist. Maybe I see things and I can sketch them down, and I get flashes of pictures in my head. Um, Maybe you are that kid that's sitting there, minding your own business, doing finishing your homework or reading a book or watching TV, whatever kids do nowadays, I guess play video games. Right before you go to bed, and next thing you know, there's something in your room that obviously can see you too. It shouldn't be there, and you're pretty sure it's not a live person. And what do you do with that as a kid? How long do you keep it to yourself? Do you go running downstairs and tell your parents right away? How old are you? What kind of relationship do you have with your parents or guardian? Do you see what I'm saying? There's all different kinds of pathways that we take our journey, our own personal journeys, and especially those with abilities. And I find it interesting that a lot of people with abilities, any of those things and many more, they tap and try different things. They go, nope, that's not it. Let's this, maybe no, that's not it. This feels more comfortable. This is more like riding a bike over here. This works for me. And then hone over time your own personal customized way that you use your abilities, and um, probably to help others and to better understand this subject, and whatever all the other things might be. Investigate, or you know write a book, or do a documentary, or investigate history in old towns, whatever it may be. It's interesting that if you're in tune and you have if you can find a quiet place in you where you can tap and try, like almost like getting into a pool where you tap your toe, don't just jump in, like kind of test it out on the shallow end for a little bit and go down a couple steps and see if you like it. And then you back out and you try something else. I think that works so much easier for a little bit of an older, wiser person. When young people have to do that, or then you add on fear to it. What if what they're seeing is, disturbing? I mean, beyond, just seeing somebody that doesn't belong there, you see. And do they have somebody to talk to? Do they have somebody to guide them? How many things are they going to try? And what road is it going to lead them down? What rabbit hole? When it comes to that fork in the road, and it always does, where you start lean a little bit this way or lean a little bit that way. And sometimes you go back and forth, try to test things out, and it depends, I guess, too, on what your motive is. It's an odd word to use, but it fits, I think. What is your motive? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it to stop the things or understand the things that are showing up in the bedroom or the kitchen or the car seat next to you while you're driving your truck? Or are you trying to better understand it, trying to get it to quit? Are you trying to figure out something to stop the dreams or to better understand the dreams so you can use the information to help, or help yourself or other people or the world? Motivation. What's your motivation? People, especially young people that have these abilities too. Also, there's usually a lot of physical things that come up to along with it, like migraines or headaches or anxiety and all these other things. So it really can get to be a dire circumstance for a lot of people. So that's why I bring up what road. You know, it's okay if you try something and you're really trying to do, say, tarot, and you're not good at it. You're not feeling it. Don't take that as an insult. Take that as maybe your soul and your spirit guides trying to guide you. Yeah, you're close, but over here, this is where you find. So try it out. Don't invest everything you got into it. Just give it a try. Go into the shallow end of the pool, try the water out, go down a couple steps. That way you can come right back out, no harm, no foul. You know, you're not in the deep end. You didn't dive in and now you're like, out a lot of money or a lot of time, or, You told a lot of people you were going to be great at this, and then you do it, and it's okay. I don't feel like doing this. Because the reason I say that too is not to just understand, say, like the journey of a shaman or the journey of a warrior, or the journey of a psychic that wants to help figure out how to work with the authorities and give them clues that they can use and then make it look like they found that stuff um, legitimately so they can use it in court. How to give that information without getting themselves in trouble. Um, Without getting caught up in the case and putting themselves in danger. So many different levels. Then there's, the physical stuff, the draining of you physically. And you're going to get more sick. You know that you're using a lot of your energy. You know that you're opening yourself up to these entities and these spirits, or, more than likely ghosts, because usually spirits are a little bit more ethereal and don't quite do this, but it's been known to happen. And you got gosh forbid you get a walk-in. But anyway, it's draining. So I guess I'm saying all this to let you know that whatever path you took, with your abilities and your life and your choices and and still we're all still, you know, out there actively on our journeys, thank goodness. And don't sell yourself short, because you're going through the gauntlet too. You're warrior training too, you know. Um, you might not be doing the sun dance, thank goodness, 'cause that's a little intense. But you're going through your own gauntlet. We're all taking the blows and the hits and the bangs, and you know, whether it's an emotional or physical or sick or financial or the worry and the stress, all of it. Give it the old raspberry. Because if you don't, and and you let it drain you down mentally, they're really they're getting more. Don't give them any more than you already have to. You know, I heard somebody was saying that they had saved up money for something, and their intention was to use it for that thing, and something else happened, and they had to use that money for that thing because that thing was more important and more of an emergency and more of a priority than the other thing. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me in my life. And I finally got to the point where I went, I thought I was saving for that. What I was really doing is my guides were telling me, save, save, save. And they enticed me with that carrot on the stick when they really knew this was coming. Thank you, guides. Do it again. It's all in how you look at it. It's all a gauntlet. It's all you can't really even say it's a test or it's a race, or, it's a human race, but it's not like that. It's more your own personal. Here's the gauntlet. So many people have to run it. I can look around and go, that's no fair. He's got better equipment than I do. And what's worse is he didn't even work for that special equipment. It was given to him. Well, if you're so busy looking at this guy running the race too, you're going to run into a tree. Pay attention to yourself and how you're running the race, right? It's your gauntlet. Pay attention to what you're doing, because those things come out of nowhere and just start swing. They swing. Keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on your journey. You see what I mean? And don't beat yourself up because you've tried like 6 or 7 different things, as far as whether it be in the metaphysical, paranormal, or whatever. It could be anything. It could be jobs. It could be crafts. It could be you trying to cook something, or, put your level in here. And then, speaking of level and lines, a couple other things. One, if you're new here, please subscribe if you haven't. If you're listening in the future, or the present, or the past, let's not rule out anything. Please subscribe. Please hit the like. Please comment after the video if you have a mind to. It really helps out a lot. Everything is tight here, and all those things are free. The show is free. So take a little extra time, go in and hit the like, put a little comment like good show, or, I hate your hat, or it's, at this point, it doesn't matter because when people negative comment, I'm like, yeah, comment again, get really mad, put a couple more things in there because it helps my algorithm. And like AJK and so many people know here, when you're on different outlets, like, on the inner tubes, um, there's all kinds of things going. I mean, this is like that old shifty cup thing, like, where's the ball under the three cups? What do you call that? What is that called? I forget. Negative helps more. Yeah, there you go. Well, see, that's just it. Everybody's having to shift. Life is shifting this way and that, but I can tell you, I'm here to tell you, hang on. It's your gauntlet. Run it the way you want to, but don't spend so much time worrying about what's going on in everybody else's lane. You have to kind of keep an eye on it. Keep those periffs going. Watch your six. Keep your eye on your six. Run with a buddy, whatever. But don't get so caught up in what's going on, because you wind up it winds up influencing how you're running your race, how you're walking your journey, how you're enjoying your journey. It's distracting you from things you should be seeing. It's distracting you from being healthy and peaceful and understanding. And this is where I'm supposed to be right now. Like that famous scripture that says, can you add one more hour to your life by worrying, by having anxiety? No, you cannot. So enjoy it. And I would venture to say that enjoying things and laughter might just add a little time to your life. I can't swear to it. Not a doctor. Don't even play one on TV. But I bet you Aunt Edna would back me up on that. What do you think, Aunt Edna? Do you think laughter and being positive can actually add to your life? I think it can. But I don't think worry does. So sort things out. Let things go if you can't control them. Have a plan. Keep it right out front, and then go about your business. Okay? Don't get bit by rattlesnakes. That's the moral of the story. And maybe watch Billy Jack. Lindsay, were you here when I was talking about Billy Jack? Do you remember when he went through the rattlesnakes? Do you remember that? I think he went through that thing a little slow. You could tell he was trying so hard. I'd have been running on the top of the heads of the snakes. How y'all doing? Aunt Ed, it's good to see you. Yep, see? She agrees with me. There we are. I love it. So anyway, I can assure you, my friends, that not just during the holiday season and you search for the magic and, keep looking for the magic. That's what I mean. All this is a distraction, and it distracts you from being able to see all of the glitter and the smiles and the happiness, And like I said, sometimes you gotta make your own. Listen, you're talking to somebody who, sat with the lights out and did puppet shows with the candle and laughed our ass off, pop popcorn over just figure it out. Get jiggy with it, think outside the box. You can get through this and you can laugh. I mean, how many times do we hear stories of, pouring a proper cup of tea and just, hanging in there, right? Don't let it get to you. So the like I said, the YouTube channels too. Go in there and subscribe to AJK. Does wonderful stuff, great stuff on history. But here's the thing. When you're doing something like this, and you go in and you lose a couple channels, whatever, just adjust your thing. Look at your channel and go, what was the most important thing for me to put out? And focus on that. Because again, like I said, sometimes we're aiming over here and we're going for that. And we realize, man, this is really where I was the happiest, So do that. Do it to make you happy. You were doing great on those trivia contest things. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed those a lot. You should, whatever channel you have, you should bring those back. And the history, it was amazing. So, and you just keep going. You keep trying. It's almost like we're lumps of clay and life just has a way of, you know, molding us. Sometimes it reaches in and takes a big old chunk out and just slaps it against the wall. But you know what? Gives us shape, makes us stronger, tells us that we can live through that, all those good things. So that's enough of that. Either way, like I said, the holiday season, look for the magic. It's all around, you know. Lower your expectations. And you got to kind of want it. I was talking to Steve the other night. I was on his radio show again, and we were talking about going to the malls at Christmas. So many different times, throughout your lifetime, where that meant a different thing almost every time. I can remember working at the mall during Christmas time. I can remember going as a mom with kids. I can remember going as a kid. I can remember going as a teenager. Think about it, and standing in line for Santa Claus with the kids, standing in line to see Santa Claus as a kid. It's those kind of big malls and department stores really kind of fallen away with Amazon and everything else. So many are just empty. What do they do with those things? It was a big, wonderful mall. I was always really happy to take the boys there when they were young. Speaking of the boys being young, they grew up somehow, and they are full-grown men. I don't know when they did that. I blinked and it happened. And my oldest is actually getting married in 2 weeks. So congratulations to Jesse James and Stacy. Welcome to the family. Another branch on our wonderful tree. It's crazy on this side, honey. Hang on. Hang on to your hat. It's going to be a wonderful ride. But welcome into the family, seriously. And just goes to prove in all of the craziness and the darkness and the nutso stuff going on, there is love. And where two or more gathered in his name, there is love, there is God. So there you go, bud. We're doing something really simple. We couldn't be more happy to have everybody coming together. And it's really, really wonderful. Yeah, isn't that awesome news? Right in the middle. The thing I'm a little, if you hear anything in my voice, is because I'm upset. It's because I said, well, give us a date, give us a date. It's 2 weeks from now. I'm like, okay, flowers, flowers, flowers. So my head is like, boo, show me what you want. Show me what you want. I got you. I got you. I got you. So it's like all this time you're like, I'm going to do this is a secret. 2 weeks. But it's gonna be beautiful. God love them, and they've been together a while, and they're seasoned into it a little bit, and it's nice to know that even after all that you can feel, hey, I want to do a little ceremony. I want to make this, you know. I just always think that's so cool. Whether it's like a hand, I've seen like so many of the Native American ceremonies and stuff like that with the hand binding and the different ways that people celebrate, jumping the broom, all of the different ways. It's just so neat, you know. I think it was in I want to say Mohican. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but it was all you had to do was say that I choose you. I choose you 3 times. That was it, just under God, and that was enough. And all the different ceremonies and what, the rings and the eternal rings and why on that finger, and some say the vein goes from the ring finger all the way to the heart. Different stuff, the traditions and the flowers, and why you had the bridesmaids and the maid of honor kind of dressed like the bride. In certain traditions, it was done to how you say, like, fool the bad gods or the bad evil spirits and stuff like that, that they wouldn't attack the bride, they'd attack them instead. So they were kind of like body doubles. It's kind of interesting, but it's very nice, and we are thrilled, absolutely thrilled. And it's so nice because there's no they already have a house together. They've already been together. This is, they have everything they need. They just want to do this for the sake of love, which is even better. Is it not? Just to say, yeah, I choose you 3 times. Couldn't be happier. So magic is out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. I didn't do it. I'm just scrambling, going flowers, 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 flowers. And I'm teasing her because she says, I just want a little, we're just doing a little courthouse bouquet. And we're having a thing, a little reception thing at the, to gathered small, 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 petite, petite, muy petite. And she says, I just want to thank it. I sent her a picture on Pinterest with this bride with this big bouquet. It was like this big. This just went all the way to the ground and went like this. Oh gosh. She says, no, 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 much smaller. I'm like, oh, we decorate. But anyway, I'm excited. I'm very excited. Yeah, it's really cool. So she shall have what she wants, and I will hold back as much as possible, But expect sparklers. Expect sparklers. My oldest get married. Jesse James. It's my boy. My man. Telling you, did good. They're good, spiritual, um, common sense, young men. There you go, world. I gave you 2 of them. 2 decent human beings that happen to be men. It's fantastic. You're welcome. My work is done here. So that's pretty cool. And I just found out yesterday. I mean, we knew it was coming, but they hadn't picked a date. That's what I was saying. Pick a date, pick a date. Let me know so we can plan. We can do this. And I was like, 2 weeks. Wow. Okay. Whew. All right. Readjust, adapt, and overcome. So that's what we're gonna do. So be a warrior. Gauntlet never stops coming. That ball, just like a show we watch in Ghostly Encounters, where old what's his name? Lawrence Chow. Who is he? I can't remember his name. But anyway, the guy who hosts that show and that gong thing that comes back and forth. Oop, gosh, I just kicked that microphone. Still working? 5-5? Are we good? Are we good? Sorry. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yep. Congratulations, Jesse James. Heck yeah, baby. No kidding. Isn't that nice? It is nice. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, little candy rose flowers. Yep. We're thinking of all kind of little things, just something to make it extra special for them. It's nice again when you can do that. They don't need a toaster, so you can, maybe get them some time for themselves and special little things that for them to celebrate themselves together. Something like that, because they're great. She's a teacher. She does a great job, and it's wonderful. We love her, and we're glad to have her in the family. Hey, Chris Jarvis, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you, honey. Welcome in. So, speaking of which, I kind of wanted to tell you all that because within that whole mess of jibber jabber that I just got done saying, within there is the basic advice of what I wanted to tell you this week. And I think it's my job. It's not really a job, but a task, a task, one I step up to the plate for, is say, I'm going to put all this time in, to make somebody smile, to give somebody that a boy, that a girl, to say, keep trudging on, drive on, adapt and overcome, this is going on until it affects you directly and there's nothing you can do about it. Stop giving it your energy. I told you all that about letting the rattlesnakes bite you. Well, aren't you very much like that? When you're going through the grocery store and you're listening, you hear all these conversations and you're letting that stuff in, and you're reading the headlines and you're looking at your phone and you're the on the socials and the tickety talks or whatever, and you're taking all that energy and poison in, and you really do anything about it. Tell me what I need to know. Let me know how it goes. I got a journey to complete here. I'm going to use my energy here. And that's what mediums have to do. That's what shamans have to do. That's what people, remote viewers, have to do. Everybody has to focus and zero in on what the task is, what they're going to use their energy for. And I think if we think about our journeys are just as important. This is your journey. These are life changing choices you're making here. Life is good. The universe will, let me tell you something. It's going to come. It's going to come. It's sometimes it comes in layers all at once, like arrows being shot at you. And you can deflect some of them. You can dodge and dip and dodge, but some of them are going to hit you. Sometimes it's better to, if you know one's going to get you, where you pick where it stabs you, Sometimes you can deflect it a little bit better or make it not as bad. But don't help it, because to light workers and empaths and sensitives and people like that, this is doubly hard because we get all the emotions from everybody and we absorb it. So you have to find your baseline and you have to rebuke it. You have to push it off. Welcome, Worldwide Ghost. Hi, honey. Does this make sense? You're thinking about, okay, I might not be like Billy Jack walking through the rattlesnake pit. But let me tell you, whether you know it or not, they're still biting you. The poison is getting in and it's making you weaker. Right? Do you have to go in the pit at all? What are you doing? You see what I mean? And how many times do you have to go through it? Can you do it once and be done? Or is it a long, continuous thing? How many times are you going to let them bite you? Some of these people are like vipers. They don't care who they have to eat their way through to get through their life. That's not light workers. We pick up that energy and we rebuke it. We rebuke it by focusing on the magic, the mystical, the wonderful, spiritual, the love, and the light, and the wonder of this subject. That every time we hear a story, every time we hear a ghost tale and we listen to a witness or we analyze it or we go over the history, we learn another little piece or another little validation, another stitch in the quilt that we've been putting together all our lives. Another patch, another stitch. Yep. That makes sense. Another piece of the puzzle. But we don't have to do it by running through the rattlesnakes and letting them bite us. By now we know where the pit is. We can avoid a lot of that. And it's easy to forget that when we're worried about running our gauntlet. Don't forget to duck. Right? And here during the holiday times, it can be a little crazy. It always is. Again, we've talked multiple episodes with multiple wonderful, wonderful people that tell us every time, I've been in that hole. I know the way out. And it's always using laughter, love, understanding, forgiveness, and light. Where are your questions? Happy holidays. Let's watch a ghost story. I love y'all. Here we go. With a little holiday flavor to it. Not really full on Christmas, but heck, why not I need as much sparkle as we can get right now, right? We got to keep up the vibes. We got to keep it going, keep it sparkly. And why not? We're still learning along the way. This is from the wonderful show Extraordinary with Warwick Moss. And they're not all happening at Christmas or during the holidays or Thanksgiving, but there's a little flavor of that to them. And I think I'm trying to remember this first one. I think this first one is your regular haunted house thing. But again, learning about renovating, you get an old house, first thing you do is you want to fix it up. Why does that? Now, I'm going to pose a question. Why would that stir them up? I tend to lean a little bit more of the, idea that they feel a new energy in a home that they were in. There has to be some kind of thing that connects to the energy that they are, because I don't believe all these people are ghosts. I mean, if they're ghosts and they're earthbound to that house or that area, I could see why they would, call in you tearing down walls and stuff would rustle them up. But why would the other side, if you've already crossed over, why would you care? So I could see if, you had a house that you built yourself, I could see that. But it would take an awful lot, I think, to draw them back, because at this point, certain points, they up I wanna say up there for lack of another term, and different levels in consciousness and vibration, you would think that almost to the point where you didn't really care about things as much. So we'd almost have to assume that any kind of ruckus being stirred up by tearing down a wall or changing wallpaper would have to be for an earthbound spirit. Am I correct in assuming this? Are you with me? Are you with me so far? What's that from? Life in the Fast Lane. Are you with me so far? She was a hot-headed man. He was brutally handsome. Yep, that's it. All right, so a little holiday flavor, not too much, but just enough. With some really nice music. I found some great stuff from some independent people, and it's great. And it's like it's got your old fashioned flavor, but not too overdone. And I think you're gonna like it. I think it might help lift your spirits, a little vibration. At the same time, we get to hear some ghost stories. What could go wrong, right? So let's give it a shot. Thanks, Ed, for coming in. Thanks for the bacon, Ted. I'll take it.
Good evening. I'm Warwick.
Wait a second. Here we go.
Good evening. I'm Warwick Moss. At first glance, it looks like a beautiful turn-of-the-century home. Built by master craftsmen, it's an architectural masterpiece and dominates its surrounds. During the day, this home in the city of Adelaide looks like any other imposing two-story building. But after dark, everything changes. There's a ghost on the property, and it scares the new owner so much, he won't spend the night there.
There's got to be a way you can get rid of ghosts. Priests, parapsychologists. There's got to be a way.
If there is a way, Tony Sirianos has yet to find it. He's tried the church, he's tried a clairvoyant, but still, it seems, the ghost of Mendlesham haunts its historic hallways. Mendlesham is a part of Adelaide's history, a part of the city's architectural heritage. And when it comes to cold, hard dollars and cents, it's said to be in the real estate top 10. Even from the outside, you can sense the opulence, the elegance of years gone by.
But inside, it's a different story. Windows go up and down on their own. Cupboards open and shut for no reason. And one room is always bitterly cold.
For more than 60 years, there have been rumours of a ghostly presence in this stately home. A young woman who wanders through Mendlesham late at night and early in the morning. A young woman, pale and ill, who seems to have a tenacious attachment to one particular room, the Blue Room.
She's meant to be between 15 and 20. She's probably medium height to tall. She wears a very old-fashioned night dress. It's got like a frilly collar, and she's got you can see sort of shoulder-length hair.
Peter Kirshner grew up at Mendlesham. It was a childhood filled with ghost stories. Stories of a benevolent ghost in residence, a ghost her mother treated almost as one of the family. But as a child, Peter was not so sure.
I never walked past the Blue Room. I'd always run past because I'd always feel a cold breeze. And I thought, oh, if there is a ghost there, I don't want it to get me.
However, childlike curiosity overcame those childish fears. The lure of the unknown, the forbidden, tempted Peter and a friend to investigate.
One day we walked in there and we could both smell a really foul smell. It was awful. My friend and I sort of got nervous and we ran out, and then we were interested in, you know, what it might have been, and we went back and there was no smell, nothing. Then we were both sort of stunned for the rest of the day, wondering, you know, what was that?
That could have been the ghost of Mendlesham, the young girl in the nightgown, the presence who loved the Blue Room, the way it was, and who resisted any attempt to change it.
When she first redecorated it, doors would slam, cupboards would open and shut, the window would go up and down, lights would go on and off. She had nothing but problems, and the bad smell and a very cold breeze in the room, that sort of thing. But as soon as she redecorated it and locked it up back to how it originally was, it was fine. But she didn't let anyone in there for a very long time.
Peter Kirshner and her mother weren't the only members of the family who felt the wrath of this spirit, this presence. Early one morning, Peter's brother Jacob came home from a party, and
he just got to the foot of the stairs out there, and just as he was about to turn the light on, the lights just came on by themselves, and it was like chandeliers. All the light globes exploded and two paintings just came flying off the wall, and he just collapsed at the foot of the stairs. He just fainted.
When I walked through the door of this house, I knew there and then that this had to be mine.
Enter Adelaide businessman Tony Sirianos. At 23, he's what they call a high flyer, a young man who's mapped out his destiny. And that destiny includes Mendlesham, ghost or no ghost.
And the ghost has been here since 1929.
In October 1993, Tony Sirianos achieved his dream. The historic $1 million mansion was his. But he was ever mindful of the fact that someone else, someone unseen, might also consider Mendlesham home. So Tony asked a Greek Orthodox priest to bless the building and exorcise the ghost.
As he went around the house, he was saying his prayers, and he went to every single individual room. After about an hour and a half, when the blessing was completed, he was very confident that the ghost was gone and sent back to where he came from.
But strange things still happened in these halls. Tradesmen renovating the place began to get nervous. One of them was terrified.
He got so cold, it was just unexplainable. And he got all his tools, went down the staircase and said, never again. I'm not doing any more work in this house again.
Nevertheless, Tony Sirianos was fascinated. His priest had told him the house was safe, but still, there was that chill in the Blue Room and the unexplained events. So, Tony decided he had to find out for himself.
It was about just after 10. I just started getting a bit scary at the time. I just felt a bit of coldness about the situation. I just started feeling a bit cold. There was a slight drop in the temperature, and it might have been my imagination. I don't know, but what I do know is that I got myself out of the house, started my car up, and I went back home. very frightened of things like that, see. I wouldn't like to see a ghost or anything like that in my lifetime, no. No. Me and the ghost don't relate together, do you know what I mean?
So, is there a ghost? And if there is, who is it? One of Adelaide's foremost clairvoyants agreed to visit Mendlesham late at night. She wasn't told much about the history of the house, but almost immediately she began to feel that she was not alone.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, I think this is where you slept. This is where you slept. Yes. I'm getting the name of Naomi. Or Nola. Nola or Naomi. I feel that Naomi and Nola have been names that you've used in the past or used in your lifetime. I just feel that she's going to go. I feel that she's going to leave Tony and the people who bought the house. I feel she's realising she's done enough. She's been here long enough. She's working her way down from upstairs down to here, and I think she's going to go.
But did she? That question still plagues Tony Sirianos, his family and his friends. One of them, Erwin Lawrence, conducted some experiments of his own.
In the blue room, I felt a coldness, a dramatic fall of temperature. I also checked to see if there was any windows that were open, see if there was a cool draft coming through. There was nothing like that at all.
And finally, there was this photograph, taken by Erwin Lawrence on April the 15th this year at Mendlesham. An upper window, a partly drawn blind, and there in the right-hand corner, is it the face, the body of a young woman? Perhaps it's nothing, but it did remind us of a recollection from Peter Kirshner's childhood at Mendlesham, a recollection with an eerie similarity.
I'd almost feel like a cold chill, and I used to look out the window of my mother's bedroom, and my friend said she saw the figure of a man, and I used to think that I'd see a figure of a girl, like a young girl, just like sort of looking around the side of the curtain, just sort of standing there.
Okay, before I play this one, I want to talk about that one a little bit. So in this case, like I said in the beginning, can a ghost who is crossed, obviously not haunting before this happened, not something that's down up and down the hallways and sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes walking across the front lawn, that kind of thing. Not really having a lot of reports on haunting anything from this woman. Now, I don't know if there was other ghosts or not. Hey, Kathita, welcome in, honey. So in that case, can somebody who's crossed over? Now, the reason I'm asking this question is because I am of the mind that once you cross over, you go through stages, depending on your vibration, how high above that line you are. Not a judgment thing, a vibration frequency thing. You go out on what you're vibrating on, which is why you can have some staggers if it's unexpected, if it's sudden, if it's, so there can be some like speed bumps there, for lack of a better term. So if you're crossed over and you're going through those steps to raise your vibration, okay, if you're hanging out with ethereal beings, at least some, maybe even your higher self and your spirit guides, they're probably popping in, hey, how's it going? Fist bumping and all that stuff, having a good time. Telling you, hey, you really did a good time. 89. Woo, that was a good year. You did good. Almost made up for all the 70s, whatever, whatever goes on. But you're kind of getting some answers. You're supposed, from my understanding at this consciousness at this time, you're getting a little bit of answers. You're working through it. You're like, oh, that was really bad. I had no idea this happened. I did that. Yeah. And then I went on. I never thought about it, but ooh, I left that in my wake. That was awful. Had no idea. Should have done better. Yeah, I made that choice. At the time I knew I shouldn't have. I did it anyway. Look what happened. And then they talk to you and they go, yeah, but yes, you could have, but look what you did. You pulled out of it over here. This is looking pretty good up in here. That kind of stuff. Why do you care that they're tearing apart your wallpaper off your old bedroom? Do you see where I'm coming from? This is the question I'm asking. So understanding you're going through all that stuff, assuming you are, you may not have even made it that far. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe you're just kind of in between and you're just kind of in between the two things, almost like a person deciding, should I stay or should I go, like the song. It's almost like that song that was it just started playing in my head. The lyrics are playing in my head and I'm thinking, should I stay or should I go now? If I stay, it will be trouble. If I go, it will be double or something like that. Isn't that true? How apropos, thinking about a ghost singing that, I mean, that's what you get a lot of. That's why I tell people I laugh at some of the arrogance with people sometimes, or that, oh, well, what's going to happen? I'm going to do this and I'm going to kick this door and I'm going to make that call. I'm going to talk all about it all over the phones and all over the interwebs and send all that energy all over the place. And nothing's going to happen. It's not going to affect anybody. Bam, 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 bam. And people that were probably, look at the Black Hope Cemetery thing we just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about at the beginning of this episode. And, they just moved the gravestones and they put these houses there. And, that house was having a little bit more activity than this house, but this house was having activity, different kinds. Some of the similarities, a little more intense. Over here, these people are dropping like flies. One fast-acting cancer after another, one massive heart attack after another. And it's not just the people in the house. It's people that come to stay, come to visit, came to have Thanksgiving dinner, left with massive heart attack. Paranormal takeout. Take home. And so many people, they want to understand, they want to talk about this subject, they want to talk about, I applaud it. Please have the conversations. I'm not putting that down at all. But it's how it's the rock they choose to stand on, where you're trying to tell them, like Steve and I have gone through so many people have, I mean, I go in the woods all the time and I've never seen this, that, or the other thing. I get it. Keep doing what you're doing. Let us know. Here's the thing. I'm listening the other day at work. It'll make sense. I'm listening at work and I'm doing God bless me, grave blankets. Holidays got their stuff and everybody's got a different vantage point, and the people that are behind the scenes doing stuff, the people making the fruitcakes, God help them, right? Think about it. But somebody's out there making those things. So I'm there making these grave blankets and, just listening to my podcast. And I came across on Spotify. You should listen to it. It's good. The Dead Files podcast. And I'm like, absolutely. I'm Amy all day. I'm for it. And I'm listening to a couple of cases that I was actually familiar with. And two of them happen to be very close to where I live right now. And I'm listening to the case and she's doing this one and I know which one it is. I know which one she's talking about. And I'm right there with her. And I'm listening to this arrogant SOB. And he's got this motel and he's been fudging around and he's been putting things in jars and he's been rattling this over here and lighting candles over there and doing little spells here and there. Here's the rundown. He's got a couple ghosts in the house. He's put all his money in this. He's going to make it a bed and breakfast or little hotel kind of thing. And The reason I say that is because I believe it's like a main house and then a couple of little cabins, if I'm not mistaken, almost like an old, Pocono Mountain kind of thing would be. But anyway, so in his house, he's got several ghosts. And if I remember correctly, there was a couple that were in like kind of peril, being held back by another one that was kind of strong. And then this really weirded out one that happened to be a succubus that was taking this guy over and perceiving to him as this hot chick, right? So this guy's all in. He's filling jars with honey. He's, bringing gifts. He's doing, I forget what else kind of thing. He was doing some crazy shit. I mean, no joke. I mean, stuff you do not want to be messing with, dude. And you could tell he was being oppressed. He was literally being oppressed. And there's a fine line. So anyway, his main thing, the main fish hook they had him by, like a big old bass, was he wanted it to be deemed haunted so he could put it in the brochures and sell it and make money off of it. Meanwhile, he wants to keep, chimichanga with this chick over here. That's not what what it's portraying to him to be. And he's, putting Aya Newton frogs and, stuff in jars and doing dances and stuff in his kitchen. It's terrible. And Steve, which is the other half on Dead Files, the detective, and with a history. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just doing this because you feel like you have to. So anyway, he's sorting it. He's like, I got a weird feeling about this guy. This guy's after money. He wants us to, basically what I just said. He was on it. Steve knows this stuff too. So Amy goes in there and he's telling him all this stuff. And at the very end, she's like, look, you have no idea what you're dealing with. You have opened up a portal, my friend. And you have a portal in your bedroom, and you have a portal down the hall, and you keep doing all this stuff. And I highly recommend not only do you cease and desist immediately, right? But you have to close all of this down because you opened them, and we need to go in there and close all this mess, because there's things walking in and out of this that you would just not even believe. And this is Amy saying this, and she's using better words, but you get the gist. So she's serious, and she's got the big eyes going on. She's doing the big eyes. And Steve's like, you better listen to her. I've, rarely have I ever, and he's trying to be his cool self. I hadn't seen Amy, be this serious on a case before. You should listen to her, And Amy's still the big eyes. It's like, you don't understand. You have opened more than, portals. They're walking in and out. Anything can walk in and out. And the guy's like, well, I just, put in the brochures and, worked real hard, got a lot of money in all the, wallpaper and, the beams and, all this other stuff. And I really like this one, chick ghost. I don't really want her to go. I just want to, get rid of these other, mean ones that are doing bad things, And Amy's, I just told you that you have portals in your home. They have to be closed, because anything over there can see you now. They know you are. She's doing all this, of course I'm making this part up, but I can hear her through her voice because it's a podcast, it's just, so I'm visualizing this is what she's doing. They see you, they're watching you, they know you're here. They can go in, and he's, well, and she's just getting angrier and angrier. And finally at the very end, she says, and his name was Elvis. You can go listen to the podcast. It's hysterical. It is it's paranormal gold. Okay. So the whole time he's just, and she says, okay, just, for the last time, it needs to be done. They know you're here. They see you. They're watching you, you know. And then you can tell that they've gone to the profile, part where, the profile statement where it's just her. And because again, no visual, it's all audio. She says, I tried my best to tell Elvis and warn him of the dangers of leaving a portal, like portals like that opened for anything and everything to just come on in, but I'll hear from Elvis again. I'll hear from Elvis again when something's so bad. And then she says, that's when I always hear from people like Elvis. Girl, I feel you. Girl, I feel you. And we try to warn. And I've said that same thing. I've said that same thing to people. But here's the rub. Free will. You have it. They have it. A lot of the dark side has it. With certain stipulations, it seems. If you catch my drift, don't go inviting things. Believe me, they're desperate right now. They are full tilt boogie, and they're looking for any reason to jump right in. And you got these little cucks sitting around, shaking their head and telling us, oh, folk, oh, that's just silly stuff. That's just stuff in a book. That's nothing but a book. There's, all of this stuff. That's just old wives' tales. And none of that stuff makes any sense. I read it up on the Wikipedia. It says it's absolute nonsense. All that stuff, all that paranormal stuff, all the supernatural stuff. There ain't nothing like that. I'm going to keep right on doing what I'm doing. All right. We'll hear from you, Elvis. But for the life of me, I can't figure out why Ghosts That's Crossed Over would come back because you changed your wallpaper, but so be it. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just trying to sort it. Are you with me, folks? With me. Okay. Here we go. Now, let's watch this other. I hope I'm making sense to some. Some and not others. I know. I apologize. I'm doing my very best. Let me see if I can catch that at the right time again. That was a good story, though. I mean, it's all right. Here we go.
His death was a shock. No one.
I messed it up. I did. Okay, so this is, oh man, this is a good one.
Around the
I hope
side
I
of
don't
the
get.
curtain, just
All right, so if I have to fast forward this, if something happened, because it's a true story, and in a way, I really, really thought about our JFK, his 60th, I think his 60th anniversary now coming up, and well, just passed, and crazy. So many things happened after that. So many things solidified a lot of people in their thinking, and they're trying to sort what's really going on. 11/23/63, JFK assassination. So in that case, here's another similar case. People loved him. People revered him. Somebody didn't want him to move forward. And that's the part I might have to fast forward through in case anything pops up, any warnings or anything. But I don't think we'll see it. Who knows? On the inner tubes, anything is possible. Find the magic. So with this one coming up, it's called The Letter. And an incredible. If you need anything past this to tell you that sometimes we see our fate, and if you go with the intuition, if you listen to your inner self, your higher self, your spirit, your soul, your spirit guides that might be trying to prod you along and give you little ideas, if you open yourself up to that, so much magic is possible. Here's an example. In a whirlwind of chaos and tragedy and loss, hang in there. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Watch this.
sort of standing there.
assassinated Mexican presidential candidate, Luis Donaldo Colosio, made headlines around the world. His death was a shock. No one thought the hand-picked successor to the nation's top job could possibly meet such a fate. But it appears one person did, Colosio himself. Days before his death, he was sitting on a plane when he wrote a prophetic poem to his wife, telling her not to worry about his departure from this earth.
They were the shots that sent a nation into mourning and a presidential race into chaos. Colosio had earlier, on the morning of March the 23rd, flown to the border city of Tijuana from Mexico City to continue his pacifist campaign among the poorest of an impoverished nation. This story is not just about the murder of 44-year-old Luis Colosio or about the millions who still mourn him. It is about something that happened aboard his plane to Tijuana, something Colosio wrote on a sheet of paper, something as mysterious as any story we've heard on this program. To understand better, it might be helpful to know just how spiritual was Colosio's connection to the poor of Mexico, to his wife Diana Laura, and to his sense of destiny. The aura he left among his millions of mourners might also help. The scenes at his funeral were extraordinary, as though the people's very lives were being taken away from them in a hearse. They couldn't accept his death.
We need justice. We need somebody to do something. We want Colosio back.
I heard the first shot. I just turned my eye from tried to identify where the shooting was, and then I saw the gun. After that, I saw him was falling down on the floor.
What do you think about that? Two hours before it happened, he wrote a little something down on an airplane. There's been several that have done that. Lincoln comes to mind. I don't think he did write some stuff down in his journal. I don't know exactly what, but I know he told multiple people about the dreams he had been having. Martin Luther King. I may not get there with you. Now people can say he knew people were after him, or it made perfect sense. Look what he was doing. He knew that they were going to, It's kind of the way people say it too. You know, you can kind of tell they've surrendered a certain part of them. You almost can, you know, you can't go by movies and things like that because you got your actor's portrayal of that, but there's famous moments of large characters like that, uh, almost having a moment where you know they know. And I don't know if I could look back at the speech in Dallas that morning. There was a little thing with a cowboy hat going on, and you know, a lot of people in Dallas hated him because the oil and a lot of other stuff going on. But you could feel the tension. You could feel the almost laser beams from LBJ, and it's a story for another time. But I don't know that I heard anything in his voice then that he knew, but I think he knew. I think at some point in time, a lot of people like that, they make a choice. So I go, I'm going to keep doing it no matter what, you know. But this guy, to write such a profound letter 2 hours before he was shot, and one so well put, don't cry for me. I'm fine. I'm somewhere else. I'm fine. We had our time. You know, that's an acceptance. That's not I don't think that's surrender. I think that's an acceptance. Like, here, I feel this. It's an intuition. It's a profound story. I thought it was pretty good. But nonetheless, whatever you call it, I call it magical, you know. Oh yeah, a lot of them, Aunt Edna. So many. Yep. Yep. Do not cry for me, Argentina. Exactly. Yep. I never left you. I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance. I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance. Probably every year I was in high school, that was every third commercial on New York television, coming out of New York into New Jersey on my 4 channels, 3 channels plus 1 maybe. I heard that because it was on Broadway for a very long time. Evita, Evita, don't cry for me, Argentina. You know, similar. I mean, that whole story is all kind of convoluted. I'm not very good at it. I kind of have the gist of it, but with some of these other people, you could, like, I mean, you could hear it in their voice. And I don't want to say, like I said, I don't think it was a surrender. I think it was more like just an intuition of, here it comes. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm sorry. I was reading something else, but that was a message for somebody else. Okay. So the next one, which one is this one? The home. Okay, this one's pretty good. Oh, shoot. I really messed that up. I'm sorry. Let me fix it. Yeah, that poor guy, man. Wow. To have that letter. Can you imagine his wife reading that letter? Oh, wait. Oh, gosh. I got a joke. You hear a joke? Oh, gosh. This was funny. So I hope I don't mess it up. All right. Wait a minute. Let me get a sip of tea. Hold on. Hang on. It's good. So I love it when people get their just dues when they're being jerks. All right. So anyway, see if I get this right. So this wife wants to pull something on her husband, right? And he, everybody's got a pattern. They know each other's patterns well. She knows he's coming home from work soon. She wants to get him, So she writes this letter, and it says that that she's leaving him, and that she's left. She's finally, going to pack the bag, and she's gone. And sorry for the short notice, love you, mean it, but I got to get out of here, kind of thing, And big old dear John letter. And she's hiding under the bed the whole time, and she's waiting for him to come in and see the note that she's left on his dresser. And here it comes. His car pulls up. She hears him come in the driveway. Hears him coming in the front door. He comes up the stairs. Hey, honey, hey, where you at? Where you at? Comes in the bedroom, looks around, sees a note on the dresser, gets the note. Right. So he takes the note off the dresser, and she can kind of see him underneath. She can kind of see him reading it. And she can hear him kind of mumbling to himself as he's reading it and all, you know. And then she sees him reach in his drawer real quick, write something real quick on the note, and then makes a phone call. Phone call says, she overhears this from under the bed. She holds her breath. Who's he calling? Hi, honey. She's finally gone. She's out of my life. I can finally be with you and totally commit to you. I'm coming over. I'm going to pack a bag. I'm coming over. We can start a new life together. Screw this house. Screw her. I can't believe she's gone. This is wonderful. You know, I'm coming right over, honey. Right? And as he goes down the stairs, it goes out the front door, gets in the car, and takes off. And she's, oh my God, she says. I knew it. Something terrible. Oh my God. She comes out. She rushes out from underneath the bed. She grabs the note. What did he write? What did he write? What did he write? And carefully, the paper shaking, she reads at the bottom what he had wrote. I can see your feet. We're out of ice cream. I'll be right back in 5 minutes. Gold. All right, let's see what this next one is. Serves her right. Oh, that's so funny. That's funny. The magic. There's magic for you.
And love.
Ghost stories before, some based on legend, others individual experience. Most so-called ghosts appear at night, and rarely are they seen by more than one person. But the strange apparition in this story appeared in broad daylight and was seen not by one, but 3 people. Buying a home can be a trap for young players, with all kinds of pitfalls. Some you can guard against. Some, as one Australian family discovered, you can't. That family was the Middletons, Judy, Brian and their daughter Heather. They remember the day 20 years ago they found their dream home in Tasmania. But the ink on the contract had hardly dried before the Middletons' dream began inexplicably turning to a nightmare. As Judy wandered through the corridors of the old cottage that was to be her new home, she began to feel something was amiss.
It was ice cold. It just struck me as being ice cold. And then the dogs first stood up on end. I noticed that. And then this feeling left us.
Judy Middleton had her heart set on the house and shrugged off that feeling. She continued her investigations from the outside, but as she peered through a window into one of the deserted rooms,
and there was an elderly man leaning over an elderly lady in a rocking chair.
An elderly couple. He was wearing dungarees. She had a shawl wrapped around her shoulders.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know whether it was a ghost or what it was. It was so real. It wasn't just an outline. It was a solid figure, 2 solid figures there. And they were very, very real. But I knew they weren't there when we had looked previously through the house only a few minutes before.
By now, Judy Middleton was very confused and a little alarmed. No one was living in that house. No owners, no tenants, no one.
The next day, we went back and had a look, and I could see their faces at the window, this elderly man and elderly lady. They were looking out the lounge window. And I never said anything, and after that I went off the house completely.
I think I started to get quite anxious about it, you know, and in the end I demanded, well, what's really wrong with it? It's not that, you know, and she said, well, actually, I think it's...
This is the story of the award-winning, chef-approved Always pan that sold out over 30 times.
Haunted.
Dad's not a particularly confrontational person, so Mum and I were nagging him to actually get out of the vehicle and say something to this guy. And Dad was becoming anxious because he doesn't like confrontational situations at all.
But when the middle
That one kind of took a hard left, didn't it? How about that? Yep, in the Rose Garden, Ted. Yep. Did y'all get it? That's so interesting. You know how you can pick up certain radio stations over certain things like wire fences and fillings and crazy stuff. I've been watching Wolfman Jack, yeah. Wonderfully portrayed in what was the name of American it's gone. The heck was the name? Richie Cunningham was in it. Oh gosh. And they had the great Thunderbird, the white Thunderbird, and Wolfman Jack was in it. The guy was going to Vietnam and he saw the cool chick pull up at the gas station, tried to dedicate a song to her. What's the name of that? American Graffiti? That was it. American Graffiti. So either way, this guy offed his wife, sitting there, rocking her in the chair, looking out that window at the rose garden he was going to bury her in. Thank you so much, Aunt Edna. I got it. I named that tune in a couple brain cells. Anyway, thank you, sweetie. Suzanne Summers. Yeah, there's a lot of people in that. Mackenzie Phillips. Star Wars dude. He was driving one of the cars. Harrison Ford. Man. Was that the one that he was that his first one or I thought Star Wars was his first one. I don't know. Lucille Ball, what? Could pick up radio in her fillings? Could she really? This is what I'm saying. I've heard these things. It's crazy, but we also used to get, on the small TV. I saw a thing on one of the socials today, and it was, it said every 1970s Christmas in one picture. And it was a Zenith with a smaller TV on top of it, sitting on this Zenith TV, console TV, because it was probably broke. So you have the smaller TV on top of it with the antenna with the foil on it. And then you had the certain toys that were laid out that were so 70s, and a little red wagon and the tree with all the tinsel. And it was it really was. It was so 70s. It made me laugh. That was the year that silver Christmas trees and all white plastic Christmas trees came out. And people would have like an all white tree with all red balls or something like that. That was the it thing. I remember my grandmother had a silver tree with red balls. Oh, it was something. It was the in thing to do. It was on trend. Okay, so the last one, like I said, typical haunted house. Of course, that energy would be in there. Of course, that would leave an imprint. Who's causing her to see it? Is it both of them together on the other? I couldn't tell you. Your guess is as good as mine. Why they're there. Is it both of them? Is it an imprint and one's manifesting the whole visual of that time? I don't know, but I would say probably the old man is probably the one, if I had to guess. If it's only one of them there, it's more than likely the old man is the one that's there and staying there and not wanting to cross over. The wife is probably long crossed, but that's just a guess. They could both be there. He could have been a mean son of a gun. I mean, he buried her in the rose garden, for Pete's sake. Did he offer to, or did she just, pass, and he wanted to keep collecting her Social Security checks or something? I don't know. Again, you'll have to dig into that one yourself. I only know what you saw. I saw the same thing you did. So, wow. But like I said, took a hard left. Some things do. You got to watch out for those. Hang on. Wear your seatbelt at all times. Oh, this one's nice. I love this. I love Mr. Moody. Don't you? What a career.
Show. We don't plug their movies and rarely get around to talking with them about their art or their talent. We simply ask them if anything extraordinary has happened in their lives that they'd like to tell us about. And that is how we came by this story. Take a mirror. Any kind of mirror will do. Place it against a black background in a darkened room. Light a candle and position it so that all reflection in the room is blocked out and you are only looking into the mirror's blank, dark reflection. Gaze into it for a while. You might get to talk with and see the ghost of a departed friend or loved one. Before we dismiss this idea, we should know that the mirror trick is an essential part of experimentation being done by a lot of scientifically minded people, including this man.
Powerfully affected and changed.
Dr. Raymond Moody is regarded as the world's leading authority on the paranormal and afterlife experiences. His books include Life After Life, which sold 10 million, and Reunions, visionary encounters with departed loved ones. But it's not until you meet the man that you appreciate Dr. Moody is not just a theorist and writer. He's a practicing communicator with the dead, and that is where the mirror comes in. We heard about it while visiting one of Dr. Moody's weekend seminars in Delray Beach, Florida. Dr. Moody, in turn, learned about the mirror trick from the ancient Greeks.
It would be quite possible, I thought, to replicate at least one part of the near-death experience, namely the part in which people seem to see relatives or friends of theirs who have passed on, by a method which was well known in the ancient world, of evocation of the departed, or evocation of spirits, which was practiced among other places at a wonderful institution called the Oracle of the Dead at Ephora, which was in the far northwest corner of Greece, a huge underground complex with corridors and passageways and dormitory rooms where people would stay, all opening out into a 50-foot-long central apparition hallway in which the archaeologists found the remnants of an enormous bronze cauldron. They were highly polishing the inside of this big cauldron, filling it up with water, and there in the complete darkness underground, lit only by the flickering flames, no doubt, of lamps, would cast a diffuse illumination. That would have made quite a spectacular mirror. And so I surmised that the apparitions were being seen by mirror gazing in the surface of that water.
Long before he heard about the Greeks, Dr. Moody had been experimenting with spirit evocation using mirrors.
When we gaze into an optical clear depth, which is the experience that you have when you're looking into a mirror when there are no reflections, but you're just seeing off into an infinite distance, or when you gaze into a clear pond, and where there's no debris in the water and no reflections and no distracting objects in the water. Or, as we see in the cartoons, in a crystal ball, that we can see images of a certain very extraordinary kind, images not like the mental imagery that we see, which seems to have no particular location in space when we try to visualize something, but no, really quite vivid, three-dimensional images, typically very beautifully colored, which seem to move across or through the optical clear depth. And it's not too surprising, I think, that our ancestors in remote times, in prehistoric times and so on, would have decided that this was a paranormal phenomenon and that what was happening was that they were seeing into the spirit realm. Quite a number of creative figures, painters and poets and novelists and so on, have used this technique of mirror gazing to get their creative inspiration for stories or to devise inventions, as Thomas Edison did. And so I created an apparition chamber in my own research facility by putting a mirror on the wall and surrounding it by a black velvet curtain to exclude reflections, putting a very comfortable chair in there below the mirror and with a light behind it so that the subjects gazing upward
Okay, this next one's a hoot. So let me just comment on that last one and welcome in Stephanie. Hello, sweetheart. Stephanie, Michelle are coming on soon. Soon. There's that word again, soon. How long is soon? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it an hour? Is it a day? Is it a year? 1,000 years? It's crazy, right? That word soon. But anyway, they're coming on, and I got to tell you, I'm reaching out to people with the most wonderful energy. And these two, when they're together, I don't know if they realize it, but do you know how some gemstones will enhance others? Like your quartz crystal will enhance your amethyst or your rose quartz. Hey, Mermaid. Hey, honey, or mermaid. Look at you. I hadn't seen you in a hot minute, girl. How you doing? Still beautiful, I know. Much love to you, darling. Thanks for stopping in. Love you. I know she's everybody is so busy, and to think some people pop in here just to say hello. Hey, honey. It's wonderful. Anyway, thank you so much. Yes, we got some great holiday shows coming up, Stephanie, and we're going to get together here right before the show and powwow on that, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring them on here and let them go. Why you don't? What do they say? You don't put bumper stickers on Ferraris. Is that how that goes? It's like my job is just not mess it up. It's like, here's my chat, the most wonderful people, light workers. Here's some light workers over here getting it done and making it happen, and it's beautiful. I just want to introduce you and let it go, because the spirit guys are the one that's done it. I looked for a holiday show and they're sending me all these terrific people. So I'm just going to try not to get in the way. You know what I mean? Good to see you, Mairead. Really big smile on my face for it. Hey, Mairead, my son's getting married. My oldest son in 2 weeks for Christmas. Yep. There's magic in the air. There's love is in the air. Fight it all with love. More love. Keep it coming. Magnify it. I'm sending you all some. Send it back. Send it back. Energy. Ooh, so much. Pammy. Hello, Pammy. Welcome in. All right. So anyhow, Moody, absolutely love him. Now look, you don't have to agree with, scrying or fire gazing or, look, you may think it's creepy. I know people that'll sit in a dark room and gaze into a mirror and, maybe candlelight, they're very particular, different setups and everything else, varying results. But all in all, there's something there, and it's, to me, honestly, it's no different than you water gazing, fire gazing, sitting around a campfire and staring into the fire, feeling good, putting it all in, and getting that energy back. There's something to it, but Moody, I love him. I love, supposedly coined the phrase near-death experience. Many books still going, from what I understand. God bless him. That's why I said I'd love to get him on, but I don't know if he's still out there. But after Dr. Epperly on Villisca axe murders, I take nothing for granted. Who am I? Because that man came on and ran circles around Steve and I, and wonderful man. Terrific episodes, all in the playlist. All together, all the Villisca axe murder. I mean, it's rough to get through. There are no punches pulled, I assure you. So adult supervision required or whatever. But warning, Will Robinson, the whole thing. I mean, it's kind of in the title. Surprise. It's not pretty. I don't like talking about it, but hey, did we learn stuff from it? I sure did. Did it sharpen me up for what I might have to go through in the future? Was it like going to class? Was it like a simulation? That's the closest I ever want to get to it. But it makes you think and it sharpens you up, just like doing crossword puzzles or brain exercises or watching CSI or reading a book or out there in the woods practicing it, living it. Street cred. Right? So welcome in, and please come back for the holiday shows. I'm not going to give away too much right now because I've got some openings and a couple different things moving around. So just be here for the whole thing, then you won't miss anything, right? And while you're here, if you'd be so kind, please hit the like. It's free. Throw down a comment. Tell me to shut up. Whatever you need to do. But I get credit for the comment anyway. So just tell me happy holidays. Tell me what you're doing for the holidays. Put in there what maybe you're making for the holidays or your favorite tradition, or did you get something from this show? Did you learn something from one of the ghost stories or the witness statements? Was it familiar with another story you'd heard? You can learn multi-layer with this because we're all trying to understand. And that's why we're all here to learn from each other as well. So this one is The Spirit of Romance. This was a hoot because I love the lady. At times she's a little hard to hear. I turned it up a little bit, but I absolutely love her. Give her a chance. She's oh, bless her heart. She's a romance author, and she's got quite the story, and she's got quite the home, and she has quite the ghost haunting it. So here we go. The Spirit of Romance. See what I did there? Never mind. I'll shut up.
Barbara Cartland is rich and famous for her romantic notions. As her life enters the twilight of glorious fictional heroes and graceful damsels in emotional distress, it's easy for us to listen to her personal anecdotes of the human condition with a touch of preferred fantasy. But Barbara, when you get down to the day-to-day reality of separating fact from fiction, has stories to tell that are quite apart from the Gothic titles of her book. We talked to her recently about her dogs.
Miss Cartland, always lushly ensconced in her mansion Camfield Place, seems to have almost as many ghost stories as romantic plots. She has just finished her 600th Gothic novel for her international readership that numbers in the hundreds of millions. For decades now, Barbara has reigned as the undisputed queen of romantic fiction. She can dictate a new book in 7 days, and her source of plot lines is infinite.
Why should I suddenly have a plot? I will pray and I get a plot immediately. It is extraordinary.
When we sat in Miss Cartland's parlour recently, our interest was more in the paranormal than the paramours of her fictional heroines. And we soon discovered the ghost stories were in no short supply. The first one she encountered after moving into Camfield Place was actually a canine ghost, the reoccurring apparition of a dog that had been put to sleep more than 2 decades earlier.
The ghost that we had here was the ghost of a dog, which is the stately ghost of England. You can't do better. He was put to sleep when he was very young. And I saw him first in the hall, and I was putting some flowers on the table. And I looked down and saw the dog, you see. And I said to him, move out, come, you're in the way. And I gave him a push with my foot. Of course, there was nothing there. And then I realized it was the dog. And then we were quite used to seeing him, and he was running about. He's gone now, and I think he played out his life with us, you see.
Then there is her childhood memory of an encounter with the ghost of a British soldier.
I did lessons with a girl of my own age in a lovely house in Somerset called Nailsea Court, which is very famous for its ghosts. And we slept in a sort of modern bit of the house, so we didn't worry. When I went back once, there was definitely ghosts sort of in the bedroom, and we used to always hear people coming up the stairs. And so when I went back, I stepped in what I didn't realize the time was the ghost room. It was full. We were having a party. And suddenly I realized there was a man coming up the stairs going, and the clock was going tick, 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 tick. And I realized it was a ghost. I was terrified. I started to pray, pray, and pray. And as he reached the room, the clock went stopped going, and there was silence. And I was really terrified, because you know, the ghost is frightening. And I found out that he'd come back to the place to die. And he died in that particular room, you see. And when I heard the clock go, that was the heart going.
But it is the ghosts of family members that visit Barbara the most. She says her late husband of 27 years returns in spirit and fragrance.
My husband gave me a long time ago a cross. I terribly believe in that. I terribly believe in prayer, you see. It's all been able to explain to people. But you see, if you don't believe, well, then what have we got for afterwards? And my husband was terribly wounded at Passchendaele. He had the cross for gallantry. And then he was very badly wounded, but he managed to survive because he was so young. He was only 18, you see. He was in the hospital for 5 years. And when I married him, they said, you only have 5 years together. Actually, we had 27 years. Bliss. We were very, very happy together. Absolutely wonderful. But he didn't believe in the afterworld. And I said to him, well, darling, you know, when you were in no man's land, lying out in no man's land for 48 hours, which he was, didn't you feel angels or anybody near you? He said, no, I just felt very tired. And so when he died at Christmas. And my son came to stay with me because he thought I was lonely. He had to leave very early because he was on the stock exchange. He had to get back to London. I used to get up, put on a dressing gown and go down with him. And my maid said to me,
have you smelled one of our carnations outside your bedroom? No.
And I noticed an extraordinary smell. So I said, well, it must be something, you know, I've got in the bath or something. There wasn't anything there at all. And then I really realized that he was coming back to tell me that he was wrong. There was an afterworld. He was there for 3 months. I could take him up to smell it. And right in the middle of winter, when there was no flood, it was still this strong smell. If I do come back, I hope I come back for the people who've loved me and who I love too. So we only can hope that we shall find them again.
These things happen. We're often tempted to question our own sanity. Did we really see what we thought we
Choo-choo, woo-woo, what happened, what happened?
question our own sanity? Did we really see
There we
what
go.
we thought we saw? Hear what we thought we
Hey,
heard?
Chris, I'm glad you hung
Questions
around.
we've all
Good to
asked
have
at
you.
some time or another. And even when we've assured ourselves of the answer, doubts often linger. But the woman in this story has no doubt that something miraculous happened in her life. A damaged, forgotten treasure restored to its former beauty by a miracle.
In 1973, we decided to take our 2 children to England, Europe and America. And whilst touring Rome, we visited the Vatican. And on coming out of the Sistine Chapel, Lisa spotted a brooch that the nuns were selling there.
It was an inspiring day for this devout Australian family, to be so close to the centre of their religious beliefs. And for 7-year-old Lisa, there was this memento, a memento which would continue to play a dominant role in her life, possibly even save it. The brooch was a child's way of saying thank you to her mother, a birthday gift after that visit to the Vatican.
My mother wore it often when she went out. It was precious because obviously I'd given it to her and she loved me, and that's why she wore it.
For Lisa's mother Helen, the brooch, with its memories of Lisa's love, became a treasure. A treasure that years after her birthday would be tarnished, just by accident.
I'd been out to dinner and come home, and I always go and put the dirty washing in the washing machine, and I went out and piled all the washing in and put it on, and it wasn't until the next day that I discovered it was ruined.
For for the whole family, that small domestic incident was devastating. Helen's husband, Brian, recalls what happened.
It had gone through the wash, and Helen was in tears over it because it was sentimental to her, and it was just all the features of the face, all the colour and everything had gone out of it, like it was taken off a tapestry, and it had black hair, and the face was all painted, but it was just white. You could just sort of make an outline out, and that's all it was. Like, it was real, like, just gone.
She showed me that it had actually disappeared. The figure had gone. There was no colour.
Helen said, what do I do? I said, well, look, it's ruined, but I said, put it away, and if we ever go back, we'll take it back with us and just see if they can do something about it.
For years, the faded brooch lay in a drawer, forgotten. But it was about to make a remarkable reappearance in the lives of Helen, Brian and Lisa. Another, more devastating accident struck when Lisa was 17 years old. She was involved in an horrific car crash, suffered terrible injuries, and was admitted to hospital in a critical condition. The truth was, for some time, it was touch and go whether Lisa would survive. Even today, her mother finds the subject painful to discuss, so much so that she'd asked us if she could remain anonymous.
Well, she'd been in hospital for a couple of months, but we thought she was ready to come out, and they gave us the news that all the treatment had failed. So we came home both crying and feeling very devastated, and I went searching for my grandmother's locket with a cross on it, or something to give her when I went into hospital the next morning. And that's when I found the brooch in the bottom of my jewellery box, and when I pulled it out, it was as good as new.
A brooch bought in the Vatican as a birthday present by a loving daughter. A brooch, years later, ruined in a washing machine. A brooch that in a family's time of crisis somehow returned to its original beauty. Not surprisingly, everyone was astounded, especially Helen.
Just started to scream and said, well, look at this, I can't believe it. And there it was, just as it was, perfect in the condition it was when we first bought it.
A miracle? Maybe. A mystery? Certainly. And there was yet another mystery, or miracle, to come. From the moment the restored brooch was discovered, Lisa began a slow, yet painful recovery.
When I saw the image had returned, I was astounded. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Very, very eerie. I think it probably came at a time when we both needed a little bit of faith of what was ahead, because Lisa had a few years of operations to go through.
Those operations were successful. Lisa recovered totally. We'll never know what part the brooch played in this family's story, but it will always remain their most precious possession.
If someone tells me something, unless I see it myself, I'm very, sceptical of it, whether I believe it or not, but I did see this.
Okay, I'm not going to say too much about that one other than, hey, who knows, right? And timing, coincidence. What defines a miracle? What defines timing? What defines a coincidence? Sometimes it's your intent, your heart, and what you felt, your intuition. It is what it is. Your understanding of the timing and your acknowledgement of in the chance that it is. I mean, you might be thinking it's from one spirit or one source, and it turns out you might be wrong about that. It might be not Aunt Sally, but it might be, Bob from such and such. an acquaintance from somewhere else you're not even thinking of. I'm not saying that. You're just acknowledging the fact that it's a sign from spirit. You're just not sure maybe which one, unless it's very defined, right? So who knows? But if it gave that young girl strength to have some kind of strength pulled from that experience that gave her to go on and to push forward, there you go. And it wasn't a bad looking cameo either. So I mean, it was a nice picture, Scott. It was good, and it's a good story. I mean, magic, right? There you go. One last one, and then we're out of here. Okay, but it's a short one. Enjoy.
This story will chill you. It's about a man driving along a dark and lonely highway. At the side of the road, a person waving at him, warning him to slow down. Topping the very next hill, the driver came across a fatal car smash and would have added to the carnage if he hadn't slowed. Days later, he saw a picture of the man killed in the smash. It was the same man who waved him down. A country road in Victoria, early on a Sunday, May the 12th, 1991. A young man driving home after visiting friends. What happened next still haunts him, an experience he still can't talk about publicly. In fact, he's only ever told a handful of relatives and his close friend Bruce Harrower, who recounted this remarkable story.
There was a look of terror that came over his face as he was describing it. And yeah, I just have no doubts at all that what he saw, he did see.
To help maintain his anonymity, we'll call the driver Tom. He was a local. He knew the road well. But that morning, he did something uncharacteristically foolish.
He was, wanting home to bed. He was very tired at this stage. He put the foot down. He was doing 110 kilometres an hour. The road was only a 60-kilometre zone.
As he sped along, something at the side of the road attracted his attention. Tom glanced out the window of the car and literally could not believe his eyes.
He saw this vision off to the side in the medium strip, and as he glanced at it, he saw what appeared to be a figure, a ghost, a spirit. And the strange thing was, he saw the lamppost directly behind it, through it in fact, and he just couldn't believe what he'd seen. He virtually sort of rubbed his eyes and didn't know whether it was reality or what, just his imagination.
Maybe it was the shock of seeing the vision. Maybe good sense prevailed. But immediately Tom slowed down. Then he turned back to take a second, closer look at the figure he thought he'd seen.
Where he saw the figure the first time, he really had a good look this second time, and sure enough, it was there again. A figure, a spirit.
Confused and dazed, Tom headed once again for home, this time at a much safer speed. As he crested a hill, he suddenly noticed flashing lights up ahead. As he drew closer, he realized it was a road accident, and a very bad one at that. Probably fatal. Two crumpled vehicles. No sign of survivors. Police were still waiting for the ambulance to arrive, and not surprisingly, they waved Tom on his way.
So without further delay, Tom went on his way and headed home. He didn't get much sleep that night at all. Just his mind was just spinning with the accident. He just couldn't believe it.
For days, the accident played on Tom's mind. So much so that he didn't give the vision he'd seen a second thought. It would come flooding back, though, when he finally received that week's local newspaper. The lead story was a fatal car crash, and inside was a photograph of one of the victims.
Immediately after he saw or glanced at the picture, something was telling his mind that, you know, you've seen this man before somewhere, but at the time he couldn't work out where. His mind was telling him that it was like a puzzle that he was just forced to work out. So he had a good look at the photograph, and he realised where he'd seen this man before. It was actually the figure that he had seen waving him down.
But how could that be? The more Tom thought about it, the more convinced he became that he understood the events of that early morning. He had seen a ghost.
He was precisely heading along the road at 1:15, and that was when he saw the figure. Now, the newspaper states that the man who died, Brian Johnson, died at about 1 o'clock, which would mean that Tom saw the figure 15 minutes after he had died. So this just shocked him even more. He couldn't handle it at this stage, basically.
Tom and his friend Bruce Harrower are also convinced the vision was a warning on a tragic day that probably saved his life.
Tom believes that if he hadn't seen the figure, he would have, travelling at 110 kilometres, going over the last rise, he would have most definitely ploughed into the accident itself and most likely killed himself and innocent bystanders.
Don't be like Marley. Be good humans. Right? Well, that's what I got for you tonight, folks. I will see you tomorrow night with Mr. Steve Stockton. I have no idea what we'll be talking about. I hope you enjoyed some of them. Yeah, I know I have seen that one before, but it's such a good reminder. It tells a couple things. First of all, travel advisory. Be careful out there, you know. And heads up, peripheral vision. Pay attention. Have all your stuff straight so you can keep your senses clear for the important stuff. You feel what I'm saying? And be smart. Common sense. Hang in there. Look for the magic. If you can't find it, be it. Even small little ways. You know, you want to bake yourself some cookies? Do it. If it cheers you up, watch an old movie. There's a lot of great movies out there, you know, that'll cheer you up. Some of my favorite ones is Arsenic and Old Lace, Holiday Affair, Robert Mitchum. You know, I might, you know, depending on my mood, It's a Wonderful Life. I think it's great. It's just that they killed it so much, you know, throughout the decades here. I got to time it right, you know, but it's a fabulous, fabulous story. So many. And there's a lot of hidden gems. I'll see if I can find a couple that I've been looking for a copy that I could show you or at least direct you to, but it is just a wonderful story. And there's so many out there. But this was one, it was I think from the 1930s. And it was a bunch of rich guys that were kind of bored, way past retirement, back in the days when they lived in the penthouses and looked down at all the cars and everything going, back and forth down, way down below, making a lot of money in the stock market and, tycoons, I think they used to call them. But they were decent hearted, and they had a bet on humanity that if they took money and put it in a wallet and threw it out the window down in that population, whoever brought the wallet back with the money would join them for dinner. And it was, I think, Christmas Eve. So it's a good story, and I can't remember the title, but I'm looking for it, and I'll find it. And just keep that attitude when you're looking for the magic, when you're looking for the happiness, make it happen. Even if it's in a small way. Like I said, I've spent different holidays in different situations, so many. I thought long and hard about it here recently. And every one of them had a little titch of magic, even if it was the guy at the corner store or that conversation or that person you bumped into, that phone call. Maybe it's a phone call you made, where things weren't quite what you thought, and it flipped around and it was like, whoa, wow, I didn't see that coming. That's amazing. I'll take it. All those things still happen. But just remember what Tater said this holiday season. Bad brings bad. Good brings good. Right? It's that simple. So just keep that light going. They can't stand being around the light. It's so funny how people get so angry at things like, we joke about sage, lighting sage around, and people are like, oh gosh, that's awful. I can't be around it. And everybody who knows goes, hold on, man. Chances are, there's something you need to work on. That's supposed to repel negativity. So, I mean, it's not that you don't dislike the smell. They just have a hard time being around it, and they're very agitated. Y'all know what I mean. People, if you know, you know. You've seen it happen. I've seen people get up, right up, and leave. But I've seen them do it with light too. They can't be around that laughter and everything else. So it's that simple. We just keep making it harder. We know it's the little things that matter. Little things that matter. Right? And sometimes people are a lot closer than we ever thought they could be. And I mentioned last week, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. If you have not seen this movie, it's with Jon Voight. I highly recommend it. Go find a copy. I don't have a link for you. It's out there. I don't know what you have. Amazon it, Prime it, Roku, whatever. Fire Stick. Go find that movie. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but it's worth a look. And you know what else is good? The book. Do yourself a favor, a little Christmas gift to you, even if you go to the library and borrow a copy, borrow the audiobook and the CD. Listen, libraries are still free, folks. Don't think I didn't spend a lot of time keeping my kids occupied with really good books, fantastic videos, or movies, and put them into, a way to teach through them and learning, and expose them to a lot of different art and musicals and all kinds of stuff. Even one-act plays. I remember both of my kids sitting down and actually paying attention to a one-act play done by Hal Holbrook, and he was portraying Mark Twain. And they got it. They understood. They laughed at all the right parts, and they listened and got close at all the really deep stuff, and they got the little jokes, and it was fantastic. So how do you know your grandkids or you never know how people are going to respond to stuff, and you give them a chance. Like My Fair Lady, they loved it. I played it up though. I was singing like her all the way in the car there and all the way back, so I had them primed and ready to go. And the funniest thing was when she came on and she started to sing, "All I want is a room somewhere." They turned around and they looked at each other and said, "She sounds just like her." I was doing it a lot louder and a lot better, but you get the picture. Find the magic or be the magic. Find the light or be the light. You guys got this. Holiday season. Piece of cake. Because it's out there. I just showed you multiple examples of it. And I bet you know that many and more yourselves. And that's magnified by many. Thank you for spending this time with me. Please sub. We do some wacky things here. I'm going to be throwing out a lot of the Murder Mysteries radio plays. I've got a couple of surprises in the kitty, and some great guests. Stephanie's going to come here and she's going to tell us about how she kind of tries to live almost with a lot of shamanistic ways and energy, and she's a Reiki master and so many different things, and just different ways to recharge your light and enjoy the holidays and take it easy. Take it easy. Just like the Eagle said, take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. You may lose and you may win. We'll never be here again. So open up. Let the light in and take it easy. I love y'all. And you know what? Dance. Good night, everybody.